Default earning rates timesheets can be used if you have a time entry person and you do not want that person to see the individual employee pay rates. That person is just in charge of entering the time, but they are not the one who is processing the payroll. Security policies in CenterPoint allow you to give specific access to the menus you want each employee to have. So they would have access to default earning rates timesheets, but not pay employees or regular timesheets. In order to use default earning rate timesheets, you'll need to have the advanced earnings matrix and make sure that that module is turned on. Under File, Administration, Module Configuration, make sure that advanced earning matrix is owned and that you have a check mark in there. If you need to check it, then you'll need to exit CenterPoint and come back in to turn it on. And then we'll have some menus for the default earning rates timesheets. First thing that we'll need to do is set up preferences. So if we want to go to File, Preferences, and Payroll, and select Advanced Earning Matrix. In this screen, we're going to click the Database tab. These are different earning rate variations that you can track when you're entering the default earning rate timesheet. So we can, by the different pieces that we're storing in our payroll data, the employee maybe works at different job combinations and get paid different pay rates at those different combinations. And then you might want to select those pieces of information and you'll be able to enter the rate you want for the different combinations of jobs that your employees do. So the options are using profit center, location, department, project, tracking number 1, tracking number 2. If you're using CenterPoint Ag, this would be production year, production series, and location would be production center. And also if you're using pay defaults in payroll, which also define different job details, you can use your pay default. And if you're using pay default, there's also ways to add custom fields of different other pieces of information that you might want to track. And those are set up under your preferences, payroll, and pay defaults. And we have our different custom label. And here there was a custom label made for job and one for branch or whatever the situation was that you might need and you wanted to track. If you're using those custom fields and you're using the pay defaults, and you would turn the pay default on and you would turn on, if you want to see the name of the pay default and then your custom fields, however many that you're using. For our case in the sample that we're going to do, we're going to use Profit Center and Department and Project. And once you've made your selections, then you're going to click your Save button. And it will tell you if you already have some default earning rates set up, you're going to lose those if you make changes here on this preference definition. So we're going to click Yes. And our next step is to go set up our default earning rates. That is done under Setup, Payroll Details, and Default Earning Rates. We're going to select an employee. And now we see the fields that we selected over in our preferences, Department, Profit Center, and Project. And we can go through and put in the different combinations that this particular employee might be working at and the rates. The reason for doing the rates here might also be if you have these different combinations that are, you want to overwrite the rates that you have in the employee setup of their earnings. So you might have an earnings there and a rate assigned. But if your situation is that that employee gets a different rate based on what kind of job that they're doing, then that's another thing that this default earning rates could do. It doesn't have to be done through the default earning rate timesheets. It can also be just used in regular timesheets or through pay employees. We're going to define a couple of the different things that this employee does. So sometimes she is a store manager, and the profit center is stores, and the project is stores. And the start date that you want to put here is wherever you want to start these dates. We're just going to put the first of the year. Scheduled hours is optional if you want to put in there how many hours that she would be scheduled to work. And if you put in the base rate, it will automatically put in that rate all the way across. These fields are all the different earnings that are assigned to this particular employee. If we put in a rate of 20, it filled in 20 all the way across. But if the case were that the person gets a different rate based on the different earnings, then you just wouldn't put the base rate in, and you can put in the rates as needed. Now we're going to say that one of the other things she does is sometimes tours and bike tours. And we're going to put the project that she does a couple of different bike tours. We're going to do Rocky Mountain. So when she does the bike tours and the mountain biking, she gets $19, we'll say. And sometimes she does tours and at the Route 66 tour. And we're going to leave that date. And again, if you put in the base rate, it fills it in all the way across. So no matter which earning rate that you chose, it filled in, but it will give that rate based on the project and the profit center and the tour, in this case, which are the different pieces of information across the top. Once you have your grid filled in of all the different combinations you need for that employee, actually I'm going to change the start date here because this isn't a work date. We're going to put in the start date all the same. All right, now we're ready to click Save. And now we're ready to put in a default earning rate timesheet. That is done under Processes and Default Earning Rate Timesheets. And we're going to select the employee that we set up. Notice, I'm going to go back one more time to a different employee. Notice that this is gray and not able to put in anything. That's because there hasn't been a setup done for this particular employee. But now we're going to go ahead and fill in the employee that we worked at. And our grid comes up, so the person who's entering time can just put in the number of hours that this person worked at all the different combinations. They're not seeing any kind of a rate. They're just seeing the different combinations of where this person can work and put in the rates as needed. So the tours lesson for the Rocky Mountain, we'll put in some hours of what they work there and some here, and it will give up at the top the total number of hours. I'm going to actually bump this one up to 10. Okay, so we have 42 hours for this particular person, and if they had any salary or fixed rate type earnings, you could put those in down here. This person only has a pay advance. Once you're done with that, that would be the information for that date. You can change the date and keep adding all the different times that would be needed for this particular employee. When that's complete, this employee would not have access to timesheets, but if we come over to timesheets, we can see that here are the timesheets, and if we go to the time entry, we now see the rates that came in from our default earning rates. So the hours were just put in through the timesheet, but the rates were updated, and now these timesheets could be imported into a pay run. And that's how the default earning rates work for you.